We think faster than we can talk, and we talk faster than we can write. And if you want some relief, you got to slow down the story.
Welcome to the Best Hour of Their Day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez
and me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
as both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the Best Hour of Your Day.
Today's episode is brought to you by ENLIFTED. As a Best Hour listener, you know that training your mind is just as important as training your body. ENLIFTED provides elite coaches and affiliates with practical, powerful mindset tools that can transform your athletes, your gym's culture, and give you an unshakable edge as an affiliate owner. Learn more by signing up for your free mindset training at enlifted.me/best hour. ENLIFTED, mindset simplified, results amplified.
Dude, we got Mark England back. So excited. Enlifted.me.
Good one.
And we're going to talk all about what you've done with the mindset of this guy, especially.
How about my mindset, too?
Your mindset, my mindset, you've impacted our entire team. You continue to impact the community and affiliate you. And a lot of CrossFitters. I've been on the level 1, level 2. Mm-hmm. He's done both. There's some big names, actually. I don't know. Is there like HIPAA? Are we allowed to say who was in our level 2 together? Because I ran into
Run it, man.
I ran into Jeremy Thiel the other day.
I was just with him this morning.
I saw him yesterday, or this morning.
But he was
yesterday morning.
Hey, Jeremy, it's great to see you. We haven't seen you since ENLIFTED. He's like, it's changed my life. He's coaching a lot of it at the box now, CrossFit Central OG, but his sister's doing it. Where do you want to begin with Mark England?
Well, first, let's just talk a little updates on you guys have,
On life, he's down 20 pounds.
Looking lean and mean.
Yeah.
Lean and mean.
Listen, I went feral over COVID. Let's just get this straight.
Yeah.
I looked lean
is
and
that what it
mean
was?
and
I
good
learned
my whole life, and then lockdown happened, and I was like, I'm going to do 3 things. Park it at my family's lake house.
Yeah.
Work as much as possible.
Yeah.
And drink a bunch of Guinness at night. And I did that.
You did all 3?
I did all 3 and fluffed up. And it was one of the best things I've ever done for myself.
Why? What you're saying is I got fat and it was good for me.
I got fat and lazy, but it was a great experience.
Jay said the exact opposite when he got fat.
Take out the lazy. I'll tell you what wasn't going to do what I needed done. Adding an extra, going from a 6-pack to an 8-pack.
Jay would disagree immensely.
Getting harder was not, I needed to soften up. And there was this knot in my stomach, bro, that had been there since I was a junior in high school. I remember it in wrestling. It was just always there. And it was like the knot was there, and it was attached to my tight shoulders, which was attached to my jaw, which was like just this thing, dude. I couldn't get to it through stories. And so what ended up happening...
And for those listening, when you say that, you mean you couldn't work through it mentally. Right?
Correct.
You couldn't break it down.
You have an underlying tension, and there's no amount of like you writing things down that's getting to sort it out.
Yes, there are some aspects of our existence, and I'm preaching to the choir here, that are best addressed through the physical body. And it was like, do I harden up or do I soften up? And softening up was it was harder in one sense than...
I'm just laughing because of that's what she said.
There's so many right now.
There's so many. There's so many. I mean, it was great. It was like I'd be in bed.
Let's make it even weirder. Bring this a little closer to your mouth.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I can do
right
that.
up to your lips.
So anyway, I plumped up. I plumped up over COVID, and I had fun doing it. I'll always appreciate that chapter. And now it's time to
didn't get fat for those reasons. I got fat more out of sheer laziness. But
were you drinking Guinness?
I wasn't
eating gnocchi.
I was just eating a lot, yes, but no, I did not a lot of drinking. But
he was telling himself a story that he was just I'm just lifting now. Yeah.
I'm just a lifter now. I lift big, get big, But I can appreciate the fact that because we've talked about it, where like, hey, you have these periods of time in your life where it's like head down and work.
Break, dude.
And the hard part for a lot of even our clients, like the hard part is like, hey, chill. Like we don't have to open another box. You don't have to keep doing things. Like It's okay to have a period to relax. But now this makes sense because remember the times. So when I met you was during that period.
Yeah.
And if anybody,
Do you know how much of a psycho you have to be to show up to CrossFit gyms looking plump and talk about
for the record,
mindset?
I think you and I were similar, where it was
Psycho.
like no one was
When you put it
calling
that
us
way.
fat, but we know what we're capable of.
Dude, I looked like Brad Pitt from Fight Club from 15, because I started wrestling when I was 13, 15 to 40.
Oh, I was like,
It
not
just
during this period.
lean and mean.
I was like, maybe I haven't seen the right Fight Club, but
Right.
that's where you're going now.
Is this a bootleg version? What was that?
What I was gonna say is, I met you, and then I see, as I'm getting to know you, and Marcus is like, do the Enlifted and watch this TED Talk. So you got to go check out Mark England's TED Talk. We'll obviously link it here.
Yeah.
But that, remember I told you, I was like, dude, you need to shave. Like, you look homeless, right? And
I
that,
prefer feral.
but that's because I saw your TED, like the juxtaposition of like,
Yeah.
you were peak, and now I was catching this. Because now I don't think you need to shave.
How homeless do I look on a 10-point
No, you look
scale?
great.
you look good now. You look good now.
But this is it.
This
It's like
works.
that guy right there, Christian. Like
Yeah.
he had the creepy mustache that he has currently, but he also had long hair.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can't have both, dude.
Cody went through it too.
Cody went through it too, but because you were fat, and you had the scruffy beard. But now you're
10's high on the homeless scale. 1's low.
You were like-
What number? Yeah.
Seven's not an option.
right. Never sevens. Eight.
Yeah,
5.
it's basically the same as 10.
So I was up there. I was pushing.
Wait, an 8.5 is the same as
Okay,
10.
then this is
Well, no, when you take out 7.
No bullshit.
When you
no,
take out
just-
7 from
just-
that scale.
yeah, 7's like neutral. It's
7's a
you're being
non-vote.
lazy.
7's a
Yeah, I
non-vote.
agree with that.
Okay, so I didn't pass the eyeball
But now
check.
you're
But
now
the
you're
vibe
a 10
check.
the other way.
What,
now you're a 10 on a vibe check.
Oh, thanks, man.
Christian said Riz, is that right?
Riz and drip. I
Riz
think
and
that's
drip.
what, like,
No
no
cap.
cap,
No
no
cap.
bussin' on
All
God.
right. All right. So
All right.
Mark
Well,
was fat.
The show is not all
Right,
about you,
yeah.
Mark, although it is.
So let's talk a little bit about Enlifted. So you
Yeah.
guys have been doing a lot of work with your certifications, your coursework over the past 12 months ish, maybe a little bit more.
We unofficially launched the certs by accident at Paleo Effects in May 2019.
Right.
Paleo Effects was like a gathering in Austin, I want to
It
say.
was a very eclectic, fitness-focused, regenerative agriculture, plant medicines, nutrition, supplement, like weird healing devices, all rolled into
We got
one.
the red
it was,
lights.
It was a. I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you turned me on, yeah.
Yeah. And
You got a
so
red light?
Rocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stones.
We got the
Gems,
glasses, we got
yeah.
the red lights, we got the colostrum. We're
crystals.
optimized.
I had my colostrum before I came out here.
Yeah.
So we've been running certs for 5 years.
It's great.
430 coaches graduated, 10 at a time. Small
Yeah.
batch.
Right now,
I'm not taking your business advice. Just
for the record, I give
Smartest
Mark
person here.
I give Mark business advice all the time, and I want to be very clear, and you know this. It's because I believe. Right? I'm not
And that's
telling
why I
you
said
to
thank you
try to
at
scale
dinner.
a crappy business.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're the typical affiliate owner that's like, hey, no one can do this better than me. And our advice is many people can. Right? He's like, no one can
Yeah.
teach us better than me. I was like, I can right now.
yeah. No, you can't. No, you can't.
That was the one time I got that. I was like, I'll do it. Yeah. No,
Not yet, not
you're
yet.
you're the
Yeah.
best. You're the best.
The
and-
plan is to make me obsolete. That planned obsolescence.
Unnecessary.
It's
I didn't understand
going
either
to
of
take
those
a little
words.
bit of more time. It's going to take a little more time.
That's where the color doesn't go through.
So I'm homeless and I'm doing so
what's-
shitty in my business.
Yeah, we're
You're
doing a good
great.
job of pumping
You're
Mark
doing
up
great
here.
in your business, and I'll tell you why. Because it works, and it worked
Yeah, it
for
does.
me. It was. I'll let you know what. I'm gonna give.
I've got a couple of questions for y'all on that same line. I would
All right,
love to
go
know
there. Go here first so we can stay on track. Yeah.
what from both y'all, because I've been
Yeah, I
thinking
hear
about
it.
this once we got it on the calendar. What's your biggest personal win from Enlifted, and
Okay,
what's your
that's
biggest
great.
professional win from
So you're
Enlifted?
interviewing us now, topsy turvy.
Well,
okay.
if we're here to
biggest personal, biggest.
not talk about
Let's go
pancakes
personal each,
problem.
and then we'll go business each.
Okay.
And I think there's going to be a lot of overlap there. For me, so in the level 1, and I'll give a little peek behind the curtain.
Do it. Pop the hood.
2 or 3 weeks in, you go over the Billy story,
Yeah.
and you write your story, you name the person, and that was my biggest, like, that was like, oh, this thing that for 43, 44 years of my life has been weighing me down. One, I really unpacked it to figure out where it came from. which was really important because then it allows you to go through, like I had conversations, spoiler alert, most of us is their parents, right?
A lot of it goes there.
Right. So, but then you can have these conversations with those people, but also it just allowed me to, and to this day, oh, I'm going to my Billy story. You got to get out of it. I was listening to George St. Pierre on the way here.
Yeah.
He was talking about mindset. He's like, you're always going to have negative mindsets.
Sure.
It's that, okay, like now in my, he's a UFC fighter. He's like, now when I get knocked down, I don't not think about it. I'm like, okay, get back up. Like you reframe it to the positive. Then I stood up, I knocked him out, right? So it's the same thing. I think the false assumption is like, you're never going to have a negative thought again. No, you are. But now you have a better opportunity in place to reframe it positively.
You've got something to do with it. You know that there's a game to play and you learn the rules. Most people are sitting ducks to that negative story in their mind. They have no training on what it is or what to do with it, what they can do with it. To say another way, people have a very low psychological and emotional immunity to that voice in their head. And I say that on day one of level one, listen, we're not promising a perfect mindset, okay? Because one, you don't need that. Think of all the people that have gone and done amazing things with a trash-talking voice in their head. All we're going to do is teach you what it is and how to turn the volume down on it. So you decrease two things, the intensity of it and the duration of it. And when you go from a person who has a story in their head that when it shows up, because it will, about, let's say, your partner or your wife or your husband or your parents, and that story used to hijack your mental real estate for a good 72 hours, sometimes it can go a lot longer than that, and you catch it within 30 minutes and go, no, they're not doing that to me, I'm doing that to me. And you go, shit. And the breath unlocks, and now you've got that space, you don't get dragged into it. That's a big deal.
Huge.
Chris Williamson, I forget the
podcaster?
The name of, yes. He was talking about the biggest green flag to look for in personal relationships and professional relationships. The biggest green flag, and it's also the biggest red flag. The biggest green flag is someone who can have a moment and downrate and get out of it as quickly. Someone who gets revved up and can't do anything about that and stays pissed off and stays in a victim mentality. You got to think twice about that.
The victim mentality.
It's a bitch,
is
dude.
a habitual mind. Let me see if I can get it. Habitual mindset where the person tends to regard himself or herself as I'm going to butchering it. The
Victim.
negative actions of others.
Even in the absence of clear evidence.
That's pretty close, huh?
That's the first sentence.
Yeah.
The victim mentality depends on
How is that
habitual.
pretty close?
I'm trying to pump him up.
It's
Thank
not
you.
He
working.
called me homeless, and you know what?
No.
It upset me
And
for
and
no
you still
seconds
not
at all.
down-regulated from that.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It's not.
I never
Soft
said I
talk.
looked like Brad
Soft
Pitt now.
talk.
I said I looked like Brad Pitt back then.
You're looking like Brad Pitt, Benjamin Button face when he's the old man. You got
I'm
it.
pushing 50, dude.
So am I. We're the same.
How old are you?
46.
I just turned 48. Where were you on my birthday party?
Here. Was it your birthday party?
Last weekend.
Yeah, we were here.
I invited y'all. With a
For
Google
what's
Doc.
been your biggest personal growth?
I think it's probably twofold. One was there were some things I knew that I had been.
Well, you got Kill the Dummy from ENLIFTED.
That was a secondary effect. So that was after that allowed me to have an interaction with somebody and then to immediately know what to do with that versus essentially it would have just been a scolding and I would have moved on. And it turned into a scolding that I was like, she's right. I now recognize this. What do I go do with that? And
That's with like my wife. Like periods I would have I would say I ever get set off, but you're like, all right.
what it allowed was it allowed for a wildly rapid unpacking of a 20-year ordeal, which is, and when I say wildly rapid, I want to say 5 seconds. It just immediately ribbon off, open the box, and I'm like, there it is. Fuck. Okay.
Put it back in.
Put it back in. No. So I think one was it allowed me to deal with some other things that I knew were a problem in my past. and then learn to wrestle with those. And then it allowed me to take that one immediately. And I mean, honestly, probably just bypass all of the hard shit in the middle because I just got to the solution so fast. It was wild. And it was literally in the course of a conversation significantly shorter than this one.
How valuable is that from a business owner's perspective?
It creates a level of objectivity that I think is super valuable as an entrepreneur, because many things as an entrepreneur are emotionally driven, even more so in the context of a service-based business, right? Where like everything is emotional, everything is emergent, everything is doomsday. And then you can be like, hey, is it not? Like he gives him shit all the time. I'm like, maybe.
Fern's king of maybe.
You know?
But if I had this when I had my affiliates, completely different human being. Different leader, different coach, different, boyfriend at the time. Like, oh yeah. It helps you navigate all of the emotional nonsense that's not true. Or could be true, but either way, you're like seeing it more from a black and white perspective.
I think it helps you learn to identify, define, and then use empathy. Meaning, like, empathy might be a natural emotion to some people, but if somebody, we could give a realistic example where, a member comes to you with, I don't know, they're hot about something. Doesn't even matter what it is, and if you lack these tools, then you might turn this into a fight because you feel
You're going to trauma bond with them.
Well, you might trauma bond, or you might just fight with them.
Which is, both of your breath is locked in your
Right,
chest.
because I'm immediately like, they're attacking me, this is bullshit, whatever. But now you can just be like, what are they mad about? Because they're not mad at me. Like, there's no way that you're this mad.
You talked about this in your talk yesterday. Great talk.
He talked about that with me like about a week ago. I lost my...
He had a steroid rage.
Join the club.
My internet went down, and I was like losing my mind. And Fern's like, he's not mad about the internet, and I wasn't.
Isn't that fun when someone calls you out, or you're able to call
We do
somebody
it all
out?
the time.
Yeah. And
Marcus and I were talking. I'm like, something's wrong with Jay.
It was funny because when I got on the call, I got on the call with Marcus, and he was like, I knew what he was like, and he was like, well, what about Fern? I was like, Fern knows. Like, and he was like, what do you mean you talked to him? I was like, no, I know Fern is like, Jay's fine. Like, because, he was like, well, you didn't call me back. You didn't call Fern back last night. I was like, I had no internet. And you were FaceTiming me. I couldn't talk to you. But I was like...
And didn't want to.
Yeah, I was like, I know Fern knows I'm fine. And I need, because Marcus is like the mom. Like, I know Mom. Like, I hope we're okay.
Let's talk about it, everybody.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Kumbaya.
Let me put a little context in this conversation for people that are listening for the first time. What we're talking about, everybody, is mindset. And a couple of things that I will toot our own horn on is that we've done a good job of demystifying what mindset is and gamifying it. So first, if you want to demystify it, you need a simple definition of it. And most people that talk about mindset, ask them what it is and sit back and watch. So in my personal and professional opinion, you can ask Google, you'll get 17 definitions.
Let me do your mindset. The thinking you think about yourself, it's not right.
We're going there. That's Alan Watts in a second.
It's how you think about your thinking.
How you think it.
The enlifted definition of mindset is the story that you tell yourself.
Story, okay.
That's exactly what it is. That's what your member's mindset is. That's what your wife's mindset is. That's what your husband's mindset is. That's what your child's mindsets are. It's the story that you tell yourself. And those stories are made up of words. And a symptom of a problematic mindset is breath trapped in the chest. A mindset of a certain flavor, we'll get into the definition of victim mentality, a victim-centric mindset will trap people's breath in their chest and keep it there. And you know how much we talk about words and stories and things like that.
Yeah, you always say we might as well be the breath company.
We're known as the language people. That's cool. We'll be that. And push comes to shove, it's about the breath. I'm here to help you learn about what words to use less of and why, and what words to use more of and why, only if you want to unlock your breath so you can see things different and better, stay focused on what's important, keep the drama low, build up yourself in your imagination, build up yourself in your feelings and emotions, self-image, self-confidence.
You know what's funny? As you're saying that, I'm like reverse engineering or like going through, somebody comes in with like, this is a problem or I want to fight. And my immediate reaction is always this, physically. It's always this. I go,
Yeah. It's interesting because as you're saying it, I was
is
like,
that the thing?
take a deep breath.
I just like, I don't even find myself doing it. I'm just like,
Tool number
I don't know.
one.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's it or not.
Yeah.
Like, well, and then I'm gonna have a question, right? But it immediately like diffuses. It's like,
Well, and it relaxes you, so
Right.
it diffuses.
right.
For sure. And then that weird codependent energetic thing that happens when everybody's breathing in their chest, also known as a trauma bond. That's the
They have the same
definition of a
reaction. They're
trauma
like,
bond.
he's not freaking out. I'll not freak out.
Exactly. So you're able to keep yourself down regulated, and because of something called entrainment or mirroring, the other person goes, huh. And when someone does that, then they can listen. Then they can hear your side of the street way better than if their breath is trapped in their chest and it's amygdala hijacked. They're focused in on what's happening. We had a guy, Justin Estes. He's here. He owns Garland CrossFit. And I was talking about I went on Spencer Nix's podcast about a year
here.
ago.
Yeah, he was just
Yeah,
loving
I just saw
finding
him
the
yesterday
knowledge.
as well.
Love that dude. And he was like, hey, man, what's been going on with you? And I'm like, my dad died. And he's like, well, how's that been? And I go, it's been psychedelic. And I've been taking very long exhales. So when the exhales are longer than the inhales, you're going to go parasympathetic. And then I went on this long
Which means what? Somebody
Story.
doesn't know the difference between parasympathetic.
sympathetic stress response,
Right.
parasympathetic relaxation response. Sympathetic, breath trapped in the chest, problems, your head's on fire, you got all the villains. Breath low and slow, you're zoomed out, you can see things, you can listen way better, you have access to your creative faculties, and life is just way better.
Right.
And so I talked about that for a while. And his wife, she goes into labor. He has a 3 or 4 year old son.
Spencer's.
Justin.
Oh, sorry.
Estes.
You're talking about, yeah, sorry.
And so he'd listened to this podcast, and his wife goes into labor, and it's complicated. And his 3 year old son is running around in the hospital room, and he remembers the podcast, and he goes, I've got one of two choices. I can say something, or I can just start breathing low and slow.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to breathe. And he just got his breath low and slow and kept it there. And he said within 3 minutes, his son crawled up on his lap, put his head on his chest, and went to sleep in the middle of this chaos. And he goes, I got to talk to that. So he gets on a discovery call, and he goes, hey, man, I just want to let you know I'm signing up. I mean, these are hour-long calls. He's
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
just want to chat with you and tell you how I got here. And
That's cool.
Yeah, dude. So and like that's just another person from CrossFit. We love CrossFit. We've had so many phenomenal people come from CrossFit. It's changed our business model.
So
permanently.
I want to chat a little bit about, obviously, Jay and I've been through the level 1, level 2. Many of our clients at this point all
on
gym
there
owners
with-
have
I got a list to shout
I was on
out.
been in there.
with Nikki Sharp
And
The beacon of Walla Walla.
So
Right,
let's talk
fellas.
about like why this stuff is valuable in a very like real sense, right? So, we are 900 affiliate or 8 or 900 affiliates in at this point, and I can have a large enough sample size. Let's call it like over 5% of the affiliates globally we have had our hands on, and thank you. And
Lucky them.
I don't know. Chime in here.
Well,
I'm
cute
gonna
girl just went
use
confirmed.
soft
He
talk
lost
here intentionally, right? Like,
Yeah.
probably the biggest hurdle that they will have to overcome is themselves talking themselves out of decisions they know they need to make as an entrepreneur.
yeah, well, and to that point, you asked earlier about personal and business, and I would say from a business perspective, it just gives you more clarity, allows you to interact if you have a partner out there or partners, because you don't fight. Like I would say,
Dude.
like Marcus, Fern, and I are running. Are we like a moderate business at this point? What do we call it?
What meaning? What?
Like just from the size. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
20 employees. Like we
It's a
have
small
lots of
business, but that
clients,
has, like,
right?
a weird
I mean,
definition, but yeah.
it's really important that the three people that like we never fight. And I mean, we
That's
argue,
fair.
we disagree, but it's like because of your mindset. Like even this morning, like the whole thing we were just talking about, like, okay, this could annoy me if I let it, and I'm like, oh, or just like, hey,
What?
All you need is a
What,
little
Christian?
bit of that,
yeah,
man.
the thing.
I didn't think that was going to annoy anybody.
It didn't, and that's the point. It didn't. But back in the day, I could have been like, Fern did this and he wronged me, and he's like,
Well, that's how it works.
Right.
That's how it works.
But I'm like,
the story
Fern
starts
just was
in the
trying
head.
to move fast, and he wasn't for 1 second like, hey, I'm gonna piss Jay off. Like,
Well,
zero.
I think part of
a
that,
little tiny bit.
part of that is like, taking the breath, and this is something that, it's a common phrase inside of seminar staff, which is like, assume positive intent. I mean, like, give the charitable assumption rather than the opposite,
And
which
that's even
is
for your
everybody.
members,
It's
like,
good
not
for,
just your-
listen,
yeah.
in the context of this weekend, it's good for everybody, dude. Like,
Yeah.
give the charitable assumption, assume positive intent, and you will be able to interact from a much better place, right? If you're just like, everybody sucks, that was on purpose, they're out to wrong me, this was done as a damaging thing. It's just like, well, you're never going to have a constructive conversation from that.
Or how about build
Point of view.
a kick-ass team of people and get to 20 employees? I mean, it's the same thing with myself, Adam, and Kimberly. We work so well together, and a large part of that is because we're both, all three of us, Kimberly's partner now. It's official. There we go. I said it.
Oh, Kim.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Shout out
That's
to
it.
the
We
girl.
put a ring on it. She's
Getting it done.
fantastic. And part of the reason that we work so well together, and it's because we all can moderate our stories in our head.
It'd been really funny if the mindset company all fought all the time.
Yeah.
Like the three.
We're too busy
constantly fighting each other.
slinging shirts and throwing festivals. And like what you said, most people don't have any way to put the fire out in their head before that shit ass story gets out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And once it's out, man, it's out. You've just
You ain't putting
wrangled
that genie back in the bottle, dude.
Everybody that heard you say it is now in that thing too. And guess what? Other people are going to hear that. It has ripple effects. And when, like I said earlier, when someone goes, they need to respect me more and be on time, or I need to respect me more and be on time. Now you've given yourself a different way to view things. You're changing out the lenses. So our words,
Or I need to respect the culture of our team more and be on time.
What he just did right there is he played with a variation of what this thing could be and how to make it turn it into a positive instead of an exclusive. They did that to me negative.
Right.
Hello victim mentality. Hello heads on fire.
Yeah.
Hello breath trapped in the chest. Hello problems at home, because you're going to take that home to the wifey.
Right. All right, guys, if you like this content, please subscribe to the podcast. But understand, we work with affiliates. If you are interested in building your business, understanding strategy, building a better community, and building better coaches and careers for them, hit the link somewhere around this video, and we'd love to have a call with you.
Every CrossFit affiliate knows that mindset is either what limits or unlocks an athlete's potential. But the problem is, most people can't give you a simple and clear definition of what mindset is. And most coaches don't have a repeatable or practical tool to consistently train it. ENLIFTED is here to help you solve that. ENLIFTED is here to help box owners and their coaches become world-class mindset pros by creating a simple, repeatable system for keeping you and your athletes focused and confident. You see, ENLIFTED's definition of mindset is simple. Mindset is the story that you tell yourself. And our good friend, Mark England, who's the head coach over at ENLIFTED, will show you how simple words and better breathing can help create better stories and ultimately better performance for you and your athletes. If you want your athletes to stay engaged longer, if you want them to be more consistent with their results, if you want your current members to stay with you longer instead of you having to chase down new ones, mindset must be a part of your business toolkit. At Best Hour, we use the ENLIFTED method all the time. We have our own personal program inside of Best Hour, and a lot of our coaches have been trained personally by Mark. We literally use these tools every single day. You see, elite coaches must have the ability to get past their clients' mindset blocks, whether it's an athlete who's sensitive about their weight or coming back from an injury, or even if it's something outside of the box that's affecting their performance inside it, you must have the tools to empower that athlete where they need it most. So if you're serious about building a top-tier box with an elite mindset culture, upgrading your team, and supporting clients at every level, ENLIFTED is for you. Head on over to enlifted.me/best hour and grab your exclusive free mindset training. ENLIFTED. Mindset simplified, results amplified.
So let's
not
put this
rocket
in.
science.
Yeah, let's put this. Simple, not easy, right? Like, so let's put this in the
Exactly.
context of a gym owner, right? They have. They know they need to have that hard conversation with their staff. They know they need to raise prices. They know they need to cancel open gym on Sunday. They know they need to delegate tasks that are not moving the gym forward or have low productivity value. They know that any one of those things, but the story is like, I can't do that. Insert any number of reasons.
Sure.
And then it turns into the hamster wheel of devastation, right? And so what's the first step?
Oh, you're making this too easy on me. The first step, only if you want relief of that and put yourself in a position to make a world-class decision, pick up that heavy-ass pen and get a piece of paper and write down all of the sentences, not half sentences and bullet points. I don't make the rules. It doesn't work like that. Write out all the sentences that are spinning in your head, because that's what shitty thoughts do. They spin. It's not like we think one negative thought and 3 months later it's still affecting us. It's
It's funny, as you're saying that, I just connected a couple things. Like, this is why good copywriting works.
Yeah.
Like, you're hijacking the reader, essentially.
Oh yeah, and if it's good enough, they want you to do it.
Correct. That's my point. As you're saying, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
But what your point? Write it down.
Get the
title
word. Yes.
it. Read it.
Yes.
Read it 70%. Read it with breath.
How'd
Four-step
you know to
it.
do that?
Look at me. Like I'm a level 2.
It's like you're a level 2.
In some
coach.
worlds I'm a
Top of
level 4, and
everything
in lifted I'm just a level 2.
We just don't know what world that is.
Yeah, so make life easy on yourself. Otherwise, what's going to happen is those thoughts are going to continue to swirl and take up mental real estate, and very rarely are you going to get any closure on them because you can't get an answer to it because the next one's coming. And what will happen is that a lot of times people will, if you ask them, oh, well, what's going on? And they'll say something like, I've got all these stories. So look at what I just did. I looked up and I took my hands and I went like this. All these stories. They're telling you where the words are. Mm-hmm. What needs to this is taking up a lot of mental real estate, and it's going fast. So this is take this to the bank. We think faster than we can talk, and we talk faster than we can write. We think faster than we can talk, and we talk faster than we can write. And if you want some relief, you got to slow down the story. So the fastest way to slow down the story, as you all know, write the thing down, and what's going to happen is you're going to go from thinking
And typing
that
would be sufficient.
Absolutely. You're going to go from thinking that you've got all these problems to having 3.
You're like, God, this is dumb. Why have I not made this
I
decision?
know Fern does this, but I started doing it. I just have a journal. It's in my bag with a pen, and I just write down those things. Right?
That's
Sometimes
all-
I'm writing
a lot of-
ideas, but a lot of
yeah.
times I'm writing, I'm feeling this way. What, and then that's how you start to unpack it.
And a lot of times, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
You can do more
It's like,
with
cool,
it.
now that I've admitted it or said it, yeah.
Kindlin's Law. So Kindlin's Law states that any problem sufficiently worded and written down is half answered. Any question that is sufficiently worded and written down is half answered. Because again, what happens with questions? What should I do with my business? Should I close this? Should I hire another coach? Should I fire this coach? What am I going to do with this pain in the ass gym member? If those questions are kept in your head, you're very rarely going to get a good answer to them, if you get an answer at all.
Well, you're not really analyzing them if you're just thinking through them. Like, if I write it down, I'm like, oh, this seems really silly.
And when it's kept in the head, what does it feel like?
It feels real. It feels overwhelming. It feels much larger than it typically is. It feels like all those things.
I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Yeah. I'm under a lot of pressure. Stories kept up here, they literally weigh us down, and we've got words to describe that. So, yeah, that's what we help people do. We help people break those spells by definition. The definition of a spell is a word or a combination of words of great influence.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. I'm wearing the pendant. You want to wear my pendant?
Yeah. Do I want to wear your pendant? I've been waiting for you to ask me this for 3 years now.
I want the AK.
You want the AK?
Well, what's happening, everybody?
So what does abracadabra mean, Fern? You're the first man to wear my abracadabra.
It's a casting a
How could
spell.
that fit over my head, but it couldn't fit over your head?
Where's
This is heavy, dude.
I know.
It's like a vest about to do Murph.
That's how he carries the weight of people's problems around.
It's how I carry the solution to my
Yeah.
problems,
Yeah.
which I extend out to other people on the certs.
With these words.
No, with these words,
With my words,
I
create.
create. Yeah.
Or with my
I was gonna
words,
say cast.
I
I was gonna put
influence.
that wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
tell the story behind Abracadabra, because everybody knows it. If I'm like, hey, I'm going to turn this rabbit into a hat.
Everybody thinks when
I'm
they
gonna
hear
pull a rabbit
magic,
out of a
when they
hat.
hear abracadabra, they think magic.
Magic.
Some people, and
It's Sanskrit, no?
or they go to Steve Miller Band.
Right.
Gonna reach out and grab you. And so what's
what she said.
Cool.
Abracadabra.
I've been looking forward to coming.
That's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I always think it's Sugar Ray Band, but it's not.
Sugar fly? Like what it is? All nice and easy.
Fly like an eagle.
Oh yeah, you're talking about fly like an eagle. Yeah.
What it really means, folks, is a lot cooler. Abracadabra is Aramaic, and it translates to with my word I create or with my word I influence.
That's right.
And you can look it up. They used to triangulate it, wear it around their neck, remind them of the power and the mechanism of words. So we're all about the how. Okay, the why has been cooked. The how. There's a big difference between why do I talk myself out of opportunity so much, or how do I make things so difficult all the time, or why do I make things so difficult all the time, and how do I make things so difficult all the time?
Well, this is part of the struggle with affiliate owners because, like, it doesn't take long. It's like nutrition,
They're
right?
problem aware.
Most people are problem aware. They're like, I know I should raise the prices, but I can't, right? But I know I should, but there's reason I can't do it. And I know I should eat better, and I know I should have the conversation, but I really don't want to hurt their feelings. But I know if I did, it would like fix everything. But it's going to be a struggle because I can't manage my calendar.
And
Like,
that's what happens with the words when they're kept in the head. It's called a thought train for a reason. There's one coming after the next, and if they're worded a certain way, it's a thought train wreck.
but.
So if he put pen to paper with that, the whole thing's going to slow down, and he's going to get some distance and go, oh, right.
It's like a minigun, you know. It's just like but it's all butts. But
It was, I know we're having fun and talking, but I do want the audience listening to know, like, it was one of the greatest investments we've made as a team. Marcus had already been through
it
it.
continues to have like lasting impact and stuff. And the team's like really funny about it too.
Music to my ears.
Oh, we use it nonstop.
We use it.
Fern is, we always call each other out. Soft talk. What are the 14? Should.
Think,
maybe, kind of,
maybe, might, sort
sometimes.
of, kind of, guess, almost like, probably, possibly, try, hopefully
Always a
one
big
day
one.
things will work out.
They're on.
Have
Those
fun
are
with
on
that.
my wall. You gave it to me actually last year at the games.
I have it.
You have it too. But even on our calls, like with clients, if Nikki Sharp's on or somebody else is on,
The beacon of Walla Walla.
they call each other out or they
Right.
catch themselves doing it, and it's really, that's fun to see.
That brings up another point, is that Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
And what is one of the, if not the main substrates of culture, any culture, it's language. And when people have a shared language that's built to help get clarity as opposed to
funny, I
inflame problems.
Somebody else just mentioned that to me earlier, and I was like, I love that shit.
Dude, that is solving problems before they become problems. One of Einstein's my favorite quotes is that intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them.
Yeah.
And when someone gets the word game, it's a game, trust me folks, in their hands, into their coach's hands, into their gym members' hands, then you are directly, Archimedes said it, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum strong enough and I'll move the world, right? How do you improve the culture of the gym? You improve the shared language. It addresses the problem at the floor.
Because to your point, thinking about it from that affiliate owner coach perspective, a post I've used very often on my social media is, yeah, but I scaled. Right? And if you're my member, Mark, and you say that every time you do a workout,
And you never address it.
you never address it. But if I'm now an owner that's been through and lifted, and I'm like, hey, now we have a common place to talk, and I can help you understand that, because that's the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Marcus calls that out all the time. Like, that's before I even worked with you. We were in California for something, and you weren't there yet. So Marcus and I went out to dinner. We were just talking about kids. I was like, man, she was like maybe 2 at the time. I was like, she's so tough. And he's like, yeah, if you keep telling yourself that story. And I was like, Marcus, I was like, well, one, fuck you. Like, let me just sit here and tell you
I
kid's
want
a pain
my
in the ass.
pain.
Yeah.
Let me be a victim.
But now that we have that was before I knew you, before we had that common language, and now that I have it, I'm like, oh yeah, that is. And now I will say that to like my wife or somebody, like, yeah, if we keep saying that, and when you stop that, and earlier when you talked about breath, I used it on her. Like you talked about your client that his kid at the hospital. I do that with Madison all the time. She's just freaking out. I'm like, huh, and then she'll be like, what? Like she just catches her off guard.
I'll give you an
And I'm
example.
like-
I was
and
just
then
doing
she
this.
chills.
I was doing this with
Yeah.
with Logan recently, because like she had a test in, or trying to get into school, and she didn't do well. And the teacher's like, well, we're worried about her, having to hold her back. And I was just like, why? And they're like, well, her math. And I'm like, I've seen her do that 100 times. I was like, we're just going to test, and we're going to test. I was like, hey, me and you, we're now math buddies. So we're doing math all the time, right? So I'm like, hey, write these out. And you could see her upregulate really fast. She's like, hey, I'm getting overwhelmed. And I was like, hey, can't say that anymore. I was like, you can say, I don't know, I think this is the answer, or I need help. But those are your 3 responses. I'm like, you're not overwhelmed because we're doing math. There's no reason to be overwhelmed. And I'm just going to remove that. Like, you don't get to say that anymore. Because she was convincing herself that she was overwhelmed and that was an okay reason to not finish the math problem and then to just chuck the whole exercise. And then, so we did this for 2 weeks. She goes back and she tests again. She tests much better. Like, yeah, she's fine to go into 5th grade. It's totally fine. And the teacher's like, and I don't see many 5th graders do fractions at this level. And I was like, great. But it had nothing to do with her. It was just all her just like, like freaking out.
You gave her words that allowed her to stay focused on what the task was.
Right.
What would have happened, and I already know the answer to this, what would have happened if you said, honey, don't be so hard on yourself?
Or be like, you know, or like, you're not overwhelmed. She's like, fuck you, yes I am, right?
Yeah.
She's like, you don't get to tell me that. And I was like, hey, you might think you are, you're just not going to say it. You get to say, you're going to replace that with these words. And you're going to say that, and at that, because those words now put her into a different state, which is like, I don't know, I need help, I think this is the answer. And I'm like, great. And then we will unpack that and we will move forward. But the overwhelmed, it's a feeling. It will be fleeting at best. And then we're going to replace that with you verbalizing that into the world and convincing yourself that you are overwhelmed. And then just say, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm like, that's different than being overwhelmed.
When you're talking about a 10-year-old, but it's true. We had Julia on, and it's
Right.
like, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do my budget.
Right.
Right? And it's,
You can do your
you can do, but I don't know. Cool. We have a coach for that.
You can do your budget.
Yeah.
Or you should do your budget. You can do your budget. Or switching and be
I
like,
will do my budget.
I will do my
Right.
budget. Or I will set aside 5 minutes every day to work through the budget, right? Like stuff like that.
Let's get this on the table too. So one of the things I talked about in that podcast that Justin listened to, I talk about this a lot, is that, so there's more to inheritance than hopefully a little bit of cash when our parents croak. We inherit our parents' language. We inherit the language that they speak to us with. And I'm not talking about just English. I'm talking about how it's combined, how
Stories,
they put the
ideas,
words together.
yeah.
And not only that, we inherit our parents' breathing patterns. So parents, listen, if you want to gift your children the keys to their kingdom, which is a language that will help them grow into their capacities and to be able to explore themselves and unlock their breath and feel comfortable in their own skin, work on yours. And that's where mindset's going. I've been calling this for years. So mindset is going to the word level. Words and breath, those are the two most foundational components of mindset. Good luck separating them. I mean, the conversations of, the big picture philosophical stuff that takes 5 minutes to describe. Good luck implementing it when your wife goes into difficult labor, and then just goal setting. Like there's so much more to mindset than goal setting and motivation.
There's
that's just a fraction.
There's if you're looking for like an analogy or a visual of this, I think with this whole exercise and learning to use your own language, but then arguably more importantly, recognize language. So because what's most of affiliate owners' top 3 fears is like some sort of conflict between a staff member and a client. And I don't mean like physical conflict. I mean just like we disagree, right?
And we slept together.
That's a much bigger conflict. But
Is that ever
having these tools more than you'd think.
Never.
I've been in gyms.
Having these tools allows you to kind of stay calm and be able to like when somebody says something, you can just kind of like slip the jab. You're like, oh, I see that. I'm stepping over here. But
That's
now
a good
I'm
analogy.
like back on
Let's take
task. and they do it over there, and I'm like, oh, I slipped that one too. Because if you don't, you get hit, and then it's a reactive nature, and you're like, I'm swinging wildly. None of us know what the fuck's going on. But if I can just stay calm, I'm like, oh, I see it coming, slip, and I'm like, hey, nope, that's not the point. This is what we're talking about. Throw another one to slip, and I'm like, hey, listen, back to the point. Then all of that has nothing to do with this. This is what we're talking about, and you can diffuse pretty aggressive conversations by that, but you just have to slip all the emotions, but you have to see them coming.
I'm doing Muay Thai now.
Nice.
A little bit, like I dabble in it, but
Meaning he kicked his daughter.
she deserved it.
Yeah. Well, I always do.
And it wasn't in the head; it was the body shot.
I dropped a liver shot. I dropped a liver
But
shot.
She dropped.
You know,
She got it.
can't see the bruising.
But he's
She
always
wasn't
talking
listening.
about distance, because he's like, you're not going to breathe in here. He's like, you need to push out, separate, especially. He's like, you have no reach. He's like, you need to get out of the way, right? And it's like, oh, like, and I find, and like he and I will be going, and I'm like, step, like, and I push back, and like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, breathe here, now engage again, and that's what Fern's saying, right? Whether it's slipping a jab or just hitting a little teep to the body to get a little bit of space, right? Like, it's like, okay, now I can think, now I can see the big picture. Now I can
you have
breathe
time
again.
now.
Yeah,
I have time to see it
Time's a great
coming.
way to live. Versus like you just, because if you're a box owner that's it's like I'm walking into the class like jab, 20 people there.
Right.
You're gonna versus like taking even the breath. All right, I'm going out there. Right, I'm gonna be positive, like really thinking about all that
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
I know who your idol is in Muay Thai.
I don't know a lot about it, so I'm interested. Yeah.
I'll send you the video. I've watched it at least 200 times.
People-
Raymond Deckers, Raymond the Diamond Deckers,
I'll check him
or
out.
also known as the Turbine from Hell. He was the first foreigner to go to Thailand and win Lumpini and Lakmandan Stadium. I lived in Thailand for 10 years ago. I get it. And Fighter of the Year. He was the first Falang. That's what we call white people over there. The first Falang to win Fighter of the Year. He was shorter in stature, and he would get inside and murder people.
We have like that was something I didn't appreciate about fighting. Like the reach is huge.
It's important.
Yeah, as a wrestler, you want to be close.
Right.
Yeah, eating
But-
jiu-jitsu, you're like,
But I mean, even like, you just don't think my arms are so short. Like, you're getting hit where you can't touch that person.
Right.
You know, it's like the stop hitting yourself. Right? Like, I'm just like, right?
Yeah.
But you can use that to your advantage and like
Right.
get out, take a breath.
Right.
And then they're gonna have to rush in, so you have to. But anyway.
And it's the same thing with stories. If you
Right.
know that your dad always pushes
That's-
your buttons, or let's say
you can slip it back. Fuck, here it comes.
you walk into the room with your breath low and slow, breathing that way. Same thing. Go to Thanksgiving and get around the people that always make shit weird and breathe low and slow and watch what happens. At the very least, you're going to stay centered. And what happens a lot of times is that when one person goes parasympathetic, it starts to unravel these weird codependencies that we have with people, unspoken stuff. And nobody pushes your buttons like family. That's just fact and law. And if you can breathe well around them, you can breathe well around anyone. And so since we're sharing personal wins or professional wins, I would definitely like to share my biggest. Is it my biggest? It's one of, I'm wearing the scar. It was a major before and after moment, and that it was a gift from the universe as to the work that I've done on my story. So what got me into this is I moved over to Thailand for the Thai boxing, jack up my knee, turn into a grown-ass man baby, that's a technical term, entrench a dumpster fire in my head and suffer for years because of it. And fast forward to 2018, I go to a jiu-jitsu class and get my arm ripped out of socket because my jiu-jitsu, it should be in a museum.
Right.
And I go to 10th Planet, and these guys are weird. They're hippies. They smoke weed and figure out new. And I'd never seen any of this
You're like,
stuff.
I'm going to kick him. And they're like,
you got
no,
an
you're
electric
not.
chair.
He put me in some kind of modified Kimura lock. I thought I could get, or at least I think that's what it was. And my arm rips out of socket. And it makes the fun noises. Everybody looks like Jurassic Park shit.
Yeah.
And he lets go, and I look at my arm, and I look at him, and I look at my arm, and I go to my calendar.
How long you're gonna be out?
I'm like, okay, that kettlebell certification on it in 3 weeks, that's not happening. I can still do paleo effects. This was 2018. I was like, I've got one arm. We've got a booth. It's a small booth. Pascal's coming. She can help me. All I need to do is write and shake hands and if it's too heavy, I just won't set up the thing. I'll get someone else to do it. And I was with Mike Bledsoe. I was like, hey, dude, I just done it. I'm on the insurance for the car. We got to leave. And I mean, I had a Tommy John. It was like a legit thing.
Oh, it was legit.
And
Okay.
and dude, it was a nothing burger the whole time. So that is the art and science of what happens when you get your breath low and slow and life throws you a curveball. You're like, cool,
Yeah.
Love
which
it.
is so much better than getting, punched in the face repeatedly.
And that highlights the value of this for affiliate owners. So if you're watching this, these are the tools that are going to help you. If you're sitting in the staff meeting and you feel like everybody's got this idea, this allows you to kind of like bob and weave on all of those and then recenter the conversation on like what you're there to talk about. Same thing. All the members are upset. I'm like, here, come on into my office. We'll sort this out really quickly. And then what will happen is when you learn to do this, you can turn conflict into resolution. You can turn enemies into friends, and ultimately just be much happier and then continue moving towards your goal. Because every time you have one of these conflicts, every time we have one of these like upheavals, it's just 3 steps backwards from where you're trying to
it's
go.
heavy, weighs you down.
So
So, Enlifted.me,
And lifted.me.
when's the next L1 open?
When does this show drop?
Whenever it opens.
We have 4
Give us
coming
4
up
weeks in advance.
September.
You have,
We have
you have
4 coming up in September, so Q3
September 2024, depending on,
and
yep.
then Q1 of 2025. And it's
Okay.
all small batch. I teach all of our certs. I will for
At
the
some
foreseeable
point.
future, and then I'll get out of the way once the thing has come out of the oven. We're still
Well,
baking.
here's what I hear.
Yeah.
Get in now, because it's no different. I took my
Right.
level 1.
Yeah.
Glassman taught everything, right? Then all of a sudden
What was
it
the
was like,
value of studying with that guy?
I think it's one of those things you don't know, you don't appreciate at the time. So I'm there and I'm just like, well, Glassman teaches it. Like I heard him
He's-
give what his CrossFit.
he's the
what his
guy.
fitness.
Why wouldn't he teach it?
Right.
Yeah.
And then I do remember Dave Castro teaching the GHD. I was like, oh, Glassman's not doing like it was noticeable. And he had left. It was like the second half of the second day. He had left early. But then I noticed very, very shortly after, seminar staff was growing and other people were teaching. But
exactly
you're
what's gonna
not
happen
going to have
here.
an opportunity to learn from the person that founded it forever.
I'm done. We've
it's more unique than it is like, and this is not a shot at anybody. I just think like everybody goes through this. It's more unique than it is better or worse.
Yeah, and
It's
'cause
just unique.
we have a guy on our staff, Joel, who everyone
guy
loves.
crushes.
Right. So it's like other people can teach it, but it is different learning from the person that created it.
Yeah.
And so I reflected on, and I know we got to wrap. I reflected on our dinner over in Yaki.
Yeah, it was great.
in Boulder. And there's something. So Joel is as good as I am, okay. And there's something to be said about having 14 extra years on the clock.
it's-
You just see so many different variations
right,
of it.
right,
You can answer questions, and I can take a question, put it through the tumbler, and I get the right answer almost every time because the amount of
Of
time I've
experience.
spent.
Yeah,
Lots of reps.
It's him at a panel yesterday where he's getting asked the same questions other affiliate owners are getting. The difference is
I noticed that, dude. It was your experience. I'm glad I didn't sneak in there.
No
but
matter how many
I'm glad
times
I
an
was there.
affiliate owner has dealt with something, one, he's also an affiliate owner, so he's dealt with it. But now he's dealt with it for 800 other people.
Exactly.
In 800 different, well, this one's happening, in Virginia versus Colorado versus India, right? Like, he's just dealt with it all over in numerous. You cannot replicate it without the time and attention. And get in now. And lifted.me, depending on when this goes up, I think we're putting it up for January, so check out the level 1s in January. Those of you that have done the level 1s, twice a year you open the level 2s?
Yeah,
When will those be?
that will be before. So we run level 2s before level 1s to make
Gotcha.
it flows better that way.
But
you,
if
you
you're-
get plenty of chances to take all your certs.
And if you're new to this, there's a bundle.
Yep,
You're still off in the
Level
Right.
one, level yeah.
Just
level
sign
one
up
and
for
two.
both now.
Yeah. Just do it.
Just like we did. That's what we
it's the
did.
complete tool set.
Get your
Yes.
mind right. Get your mind right.
Because level 1, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's all about your own story. The level 2 is much about celebrating the wins. It's easy to work through your stuff, but then you also, and this has been
What's your
huge,
superhero arc?
Right? This is huge for our clients because it's like, you got Ellie over there, right? It's like, hey, don't forget how great you're doing too.
Right.
You can tell someone you're doing a great job, but when they take
Yeah.
their pen and put that story that's
I'm
in their
good.
head, that doesn't work. But a specific example, they get their story on paper and you help them with that, then it's the difference between you telling them and them telling them.
Right.
Completely different.
I want to give a shout out to one person. Has Zach McGaffey gone through and lifted Chicago Heights?
His brother,
CrossFit
Eric, Arik. He and I went to Dwayne Bang Ludwig's Thai boxing gym in 2017.
In Colorado?
In Colorado, back in the day. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Zach
has it, yeah.
McGathy, longtime client of ours, and it was just this past Monday. He was on the call, and I was like, he and I have been having a lot of back and forth about accepting compliments and giving compliments.
Oh, dude.
And it was on the call, and I was like, dude, know what is so awesome in front of everybody? He's like, you've been with us 3 years now, and you just went to a new level because of this. So it's like, it's not just like when we work with a client, hey, we're going to take it from here to here. You might stay here for a bit. And then Zach was like, next level. Yeah. And in his emails, in the way he talks to me, in the way he has, like, I think 4 kids, like with his wife. And it's just, this stuff is so valuable.
Yeah. Let me finish with this. Gym owners, coaches, members, you all need to celebrate your wins. And it's not saying I'm good or write down 3 things you're grateful for in half sentences. Now, there's so much more to it than that. And that's one of the things we teach. And one of the reasons is if you want to elevate your game, you need to present that evidence to yourself in writing. Teddy Atlas said, champions get 30% better overnight by winning the championship, just by winning the belt, because that now they have.
Because I'm the champ.
Yeah,
they are the champ, and you've got wins to share. You've done a lot of cool shit, and I bet you money those stories are up here in your head. They're just waiting to get celebrated.
There's proof out there. Write it down.
And I just want to thank you, man.
Yeah,
we love you,
dude. Love y'all too, man.
You've become a good friend, which we appreciate.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
But you've changed our lives. Not just ours, Marcus, the teams, our clients. We really appreciate it.
It's the name of the game.
Cool. Yeah, abracadabra.
It looks good on you, buddy.
It does good on me.
We'll see you guys next time.
Big thanks to our friends at ENLIFTED for supporting today's show. ENLIFTED provides elite affiliates and coaches with practical, powerful mindset tools that can transform your clients, your culture, and give you and your athletes an unshakable edge. Learn more by signing up for your free mindset training at enlifted.me/best hour. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.